Hello folks, and welcome to Tech News Monday, episode 4. Let's go ahead and jump in. Alright, first things first, I am still under the weather here, and I'm pretty sure you can tell by the sound of my voice, but either way, here we go. Starting off with some Samsung news here, and it's a personal one. My Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra is actually set to be delivered today, so I'm pretty excited about that, and I can't wait to start testing so that I can drop some videos on this bad boy. That way I'll be able to share additional insights, and of course, these would be hands-on insights. But anyway, let's go ahead to the next topic here, and we will be covering Samsung's Galaxy A series, specifically the upcoming Samsung Galaxy A34 5G and the A54 5G. And yes, we actually do have some info, specifically specs that leaked on these bad boys here. And before even going into these specs, I want to let you know that these are actually very good phones, and they're very popular outside of the US. Anytime I'm overseas, those are the phones that I tend to use in combination with one of my flagship phones. But anyway, the Galaxy A34 5G will stand at 6.6 inches. That is massive. And the A54 will stand at 6.4. They both will be boasting Super AMOLED displays, of course, and we'll be looking at Full HD Plus resolution. Now, this display on the A34 will support up to 90 Hz refresh rate, and it's also going to be pushing a MediaTek Dimensity 1080 for, as the chipset. And you will have this combo with your choice of 6 or 8 gigs of RAM along with 128 gigs or 256 gigs of internal storage along with a micro SD card slot, of course, because you can expand storage on these phones right here. Now, the A54, on the other hand, will feature an Exynos chipset, likely the 1380 processor, and you're going to have 8 gigs of RAM on this one with a base storage of 128 gigs, and you also do have the options for 256 gigs of internal storage, also expandable using a micro SD card. And this one is going to be boasting 8 gigs of RAM, and of course you will have your choice of either 128 gigs or 256 gigs of internal storage. Also, the A54 will support up to 120 Hz refresh rate here. Like I said, it will feature an Exynos chipset, likely the 1380 processor. It will also have the micro SD card slot for you to be able to expand the internal storage. Next here, let's go ahead and talk about the Samsung Galaxy Watch 6 series. Now, the Samsung Galaxy Watch 5 series has been out for about 6 months or so, and it's still running its course, right? But you don't hear about it anymore, which makes sense, of course. The honeymoon period is over. Now, if you remember, the current series actually dropped at the same time as the Samsung Galaxy foldable devices. With that being said, the current information circulating the internet is suggesting that the next iteration of the Galaxy Watches will again go along with the next iteration of foldable devices from Samsung. And this will be, of course, around the month of August, just like it was last year. Now, on a personal note, I'm hoping that Samsung actually brings back the Samsung Galaxy Classic line, right? If you remember last year, we had the Samsung Galaxy or the Watch 4 Classic, which was a fan's favorite, including myself here. And to those of you who may not be aware, this one right here, the Samsung Galaxy Watch Pro that you see right here, the Watch Pro 5 here or the Watch 5 Pro here, is not the successor to the Watch 4 Classic. If anything, it actually shifted away from the Classic line, specifically from that flagship rotating bezel design, right? Which everyone actually loved. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that I'm hoping that they do all three this time around, as opposed to just 2 models in the Galaxy Watch line, meaning they do a regular, a Pro, because these play in 2 separate categories, and they add a Classic, which also is in its own category. I'm just hoping, but either way, we know that they will be dropping in August once the foldables are ready. Now, the next piece of news here is going to be in regards to the new or the upcoming Android 14. So just to let you know, Google is already planning the rollout of the new iteration, or the next iteration rather, of Android. Now, I know that it feels as if, Android 13 just released and we're already talking about Android 14, but no worries. This is not the release version that actually goes out, to the public, for you to download and use. It's not even the beta version, right? So there's still time before this guy here can hit the general public. What this one is simply the developer preview version of Android 14, and you can actually download that if you want. If you do own a Google Pixel phone, you can actually download that. Otherwise, you just have to wait for the beta release of the software. And this is actually a pretty good time to give Samsung its props, right? I've always wanted to do this. When it comes down to updates, I think Samsung has been doing a fantastic job at supporting its devices and pushing out updates. In fact, Samsung has been doing pretty good at pushing out security updates, even better than Google in many cases, which is insane. But anyway, let's go ahead and close off this here with some Apple news, right? So we do have some leaks that suggest that Apple has been working on its next iteration of the Apple Watch Ultra. And there are actually says that the next one will be a pretty significant upgrade on both, the hardware and the software. So much so that from hardware alone, from a hardware upgrade, we are looking at a pretty significant upgrade. We're looking at an upgrade to 2.1 inches in terms of the size. That'll be going away from the current 1.92 inches. Right? So that's a fairly significant bump there. And this is supposed to actually go along with a new micro LED display as opposed to the current OLED display that you have on the current Ultra. Now, with that said, I want to specify the fact that there are sources that are stating that the micro LED technology will not be ready to be pushed out there until 2025. And of course, we're talking in regards to Apple products. So make sure to keep that in mind. And again, meaning this is a combo of leaks, some speculation, and of course, some confirmed information. So either way, make sure to take some of this stuff with a grain of salt. All right, that would be all for this edition of Tech News Monday. I will have more on our next episode of Tech News Monday. I will stay updated so that you stay updated up until the next episode, of course. As always, stay safe out there.